Good evening, everyone. Our apologies for starting late. This is our first hybrid session that we've done. So we have in person and online. So it's good to be back in person, and we have some people in the audience here with us. But I would just like to begin. So welcome to the bienvenue au Conseil de la séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal de la Ville de Westmount pour lundi le 21 mars 2022. I would just like to begin by commenting on the tragedy that happened in Westmount in the early hours of Sunday morning. I think probably most residents have seen it. It's been all over the media, and I just want to say that our thoughts, our prayers, our hearts are with the victim, the young woman who was a victim of a brutal attack in the early hours of Sunday morning. But also I want to thank our public security officers and the SPVM who were able to act quickly and were able to help the victim and get her to the hospital as quickly as possible. So I really would like to, I think everybody knows that our public security officers are the eyes on our streets. And we are very, very glad that they were where they were at that time, and so that they were able to help this young woman. So I can't comment any further because it is an ongoing investigation, but I think all of council joins me in sharing our thoughts with her and her family. And we wish her a speedy and a full recovery. And again, thank you, an enormous amount of gratitude to our public security officers that were there that night and that continue to be there every day and night for Westmount residents. So I think we have some council updates. I'll start with this end of the table. Councillor Kez, any updates?
Just a minor update. I just want to, it's a reminder that as of April 1st, street maintenance will be starting. Do you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Street maintenance will be starting as of April 1st. So pay attention to the parking signs. We have to clean the sand, all of that. So if you don't want to get a ticket, please pay attention to the parking sign. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Kez. Councillor Aronson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I only have one little thing to report now from the Commissionership for Climate and Sustainability. We are presently looking for residents between the ages of 15 and 30 who are looking for summer jobs, who are legally allowed to work in Canada, to apply to be members of our Eco-Quartier sponsored Green Team. You can find the applications on our website, the application process on our website. I think it's going to be a very interesting position for those who are keen on helping go door to door and provide information at public kiosks throughout the summer to other residents and how we might all do better for our environment. And so if you are looking for that kind of work, or you know something it is, please do make sure to put your application in before May the 2nd. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Aronson. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also have two short announcements. With the change of seasons yesterday, we're now in the spring solstice. The good news is the days are getting longer and spring is in the air. The bad news is the toboggan runs and outdoor skating rinks are now permanently closed. I also would just like to remind all residents that spring registration is ongoing. There is something for everybody, both youth and adults alike, and you can register online or at the WRC in person. It's now open, and please go check out what we have. The brochure is online on our website. Thanks.
Councillor Bostock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As everybody has mentioned, we are optimistic that the weather stays the way that it is and that it's here to stay. As Councillor Kez mentioned, it's time for our spring cleanup. Public Works will be starting their regular street cleaning starting, they've already started some of their street cleaning, and the friendly reminder to check the signs, make sure you move your car on the designated day. They'll also be out clearing sidewalks in both commercial areas and the residential streets, which will get rid of the leftover grit and salt. And this, of course, is all dependent on the weather, but rest assured it will all get done. Depending on the weather, we anticipate that the Somerville tot lot will be inspected the first week of April. And if it passes inspection, it should be open soon after. And we want to thank everyone for being patient. And we are eager to get the kids out playing in the new tot lot soon. We have our special tree distribution program, which you can refer to our website. And this is where residents will have until the end of the month to submit their request online. The number of trees is limited and will be made available on a first come, first served basis. And residents are responsible for planting it and it must be on private property. So that's my update for today.
Thank you, Councillor Bostock. Councillor Peart, any updates today?
I do. Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. Okay, later this evening, we will be doing something differently than we've done before. I will be introducing a resolution for council to adopt and design a design concept for the reconstruction of Lexington and Devon Avenues. This project includes the roadway, sidewalks, street lighting, and Hydro Westmount's underground electrical network. As many of you already know, our roadwork projects are primarily driven by the needs of the underground infrastructure. Projects are prioritized by the urgency of required maintenance or upgrades. It's been almost 40 years since Lexington was last reconstructed. It's been more than 20 years since it was last resurfaced. Typically, when a street comes up on the rotation for reconstruction, it is usually rebuilt as a replica of what it was previously there. This is where things are being done differently this time. After almost 40 years, it no longer makes sense to merely perpetuate the status quo. Instead, we need to seize the opportunity to rethink the street configuration to meet today's needs and norms with some foresight for tomorrow. In its current geometry, the streets are wide, sidewalks are narrow, intersections are vast, pedestrian crossings are long, and the turning radii at many corners are wide. All of these geometric decisions of years past contribute to the #1 complaint received in the area: speeding vehicles. As I mentioned, we're doing things differently going forward. We're surveying residents earlier in the process. We're surveying more widely than just the affected blocks because more people use the street than just those who happen to live on it. For this project, we surveyed 278 households and received a 22% response rate. The results of this survey are available online. As mentioned earlier, speeding was the leading issue, with additional requests for improvements to livability, to lighting, and to greenery. After having received helpful feedback from the residents in the sector, the city established a cross-disciplinary team that drew upon the expertise of engineering, urban planning, and Hydro Westmount departments. Again, this is new for Westmount. Historically, the urban planning department has had limited to no involvement in these types of projects. The result, which is posted online, and in my opinion, is just quite simply spectacular. The team created a solution that is tailor-made to suit the sector. Road surface is being reallocated differently. Overall, asphalt is replaced by sidewalk or green space. Roads are narrowed from curb to curb. Sidewalks are widened to the standard 1.8 meters or 6 feet, which is standard for Westmount. Intersections are tightened up, dramatically reducing crossing times. In some cases, it is reduced by more than half. This benefits everyone, whether it's a parent with a child or stroller, an active senior with a recent hip replacement, or maybe a caregiver walking with their charge. The street corners are reconfigured with tighter corners. Parking is being consolidated on one side of the street, liberating space for new greenery and 20 new trees between Edge Hill and Shorncliffe. With less asphalt, we reduce the heat island effect. We reduce stormwater runoff. The resulting design is defensively safer, greener, and nicer. Now, we've given presentations of this finalized design so that residents will have a better understanding of what it is to come. For this project, we invited the same 278 households to an information session earlier this month, during which we presented the finalized scheme to be issued for tender. Not surprisingly, many residents expressed concern and, quite frankly, discontent that their comments and feedback would not be able to be integrated before project tender. To this concern, we hear you. Unfortunately, on the heels of an election year, the calendar did not afford us enough time to get the documents out to tender. The calendar did not afford us enough time to solicit additional comments to have documents go out to tender in time for the construction season. We know that many residents are upset about the development process for this significant redesign of the street. We're doing more outreach with the community than we've done previously. It's a work in progress for us as well. We're learning as we go, and we will be refining our process of consultation over time. Until then, I encourage and I invite all Westmount residents to preview the new street reconfiguration for Lexington and Devon Avenues. It is available online at engage.westmount.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pert, for that very important update. I would also like to thank the residents that I have had a chance to speak to in the past week, and I know that I'll continue to speak to them over the coming days as well, and the coming weeks about this. And one of the concerns that a lot of people have raised is my volume going. Am I going in and out? No. One of the concerns that had been raised with me last week by a resident who's been an active resident and has contributed a lot to the ideas of this street was also about the construction period. And I think we all agree living through construction is difficult. It's we're coming in on the second year where we're going into a third year, hopefully not for too much longer, of this pandemic. They've already lived through a summer of construction with the water work that was done last summer. But I want to assure them that and I think a lot of them will agree, that the care and the intention that was given to them by the public works team and the engineering team will also be in place when any construction happens on any street. And I have lived through a street construction. I know that it's difficult. I know that it's long, it's dusty and messy. But what we're seeing here is added benefit and design to the street that we're not able to do on other streets. But anyways, I think Councillor Peart summarized it well, and I'm sure other councillors may want to address this issue as well. So Councillor Shammy, do you have any updates tonight?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I just, as Commissioner of Westmount Hydro, I know all councillors and the mayor join me in reminding all our residents of March 26th at 8:30 p.m. Earth Day. Earth Hour, I apologize. Millions of people around the world will join together to take action and raise awareness of the issues facing our planet. And as Commissioner of Hydro Westmount, I ask you all to turn off your lights for 1 hour to show support for action for climate change. We'll be turning off Westmount City Hall, lights at the Public Library, Victoria Hall, the Summit, City Hall. And it's an important call out to the community. And I just, Madam Mayor, wanted to raise Earth Hour.
Thank you,
You're
Councillor Roux, and Councillor Aronson supports this initiative. Councillor Roux.
Yes, so the library is up and running, as you know, and the staff is very excited to see everyone coming to the library, so please go. Also, you'll be happy to know that the Friends of the Library book sale is back this year after not happening for the past 2 years. So it's always an exciting event. It'll probably be even more so this year because there's going to be a lot of books, 2 years accumulation. So that's happening on Saturday, April the 9th and Sunday, April the 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Victoria Hall as usual. Then we will be having the Westmount Platinum Party to celebrate Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee with the traditional English tea at Victoria Hall. So you need to register on Everbright. So it should be a fun event. That's going to be on Sunday, April the 24th at 2 p.m. I would like to remind students from grade 1 to grade 11 that you still have until April 1st to submit your text. So story, poem, essay about how you envision the future. So what's next? Interesting lecture. Do you hear well? With Michel Nadeau, author of Entendez-vous bien? We might feel like sending some of our teenagers, but I don't think it's intended for them. Anyway, so that one you also register on Everbright, and it should be very interesting and popular with quite a few people. That's on April 6th at 7 p.m. Live, there's a lot, most things are now live again. There was the Dune screening on Saturday, which was a guichet fermé, a big success. Everyone had a good time, and clearly people wanted to get together again. And finally, there's an invitation to Westmount artists to submit their proposal for the next exhibition season at the gallery at Victoria Hall. Annual application period ends on April 15th. there's lots more, so please go on the website, but I won't keep you. I could keep you all evening. And of course, there's the beautiful tote bags, which you've probably seen people carrying around the city, which we love. Our Westmount Public Library, you can purchase them for $12 at the library.
Thank you, Councillor Rue. And I echo your sentiment that it's wonderful to have in-person events again. Councillor D'Amico, do you have any updates?
Yes, so I wanted to thank all the residents of District 1 that participated in the Lexington consultation. I did receive a lot of feedback from the residents, and the feedback was majority against the project. So I have relayed those comments to council and the administration. And just to let you know that I will be voting against the Lexington reconstruction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor D'Amico. And just to clarify for anyone who's listening, we are not voting on approving, or we're not voting on the contract for Lexington tonight. So, or the awarding of the contract for Lexington tonight. So on that note, are we going to take the online questions first, or are we give priority to those who have come out? I think the in-person will go first, and then we will take the online questions. So I would. We don't have a microphone, but I guess I'd invite you. How can we have this so that people can see Mr. Sampson ask the question? Oh, okay. A few kinks to work out here as we. I think you're coming back to you come up to the podium now.
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's you. Everybody else works here.
Hey, I worked earlier. Good evening. Good evening, Madame la Mairesse, Council. It's great to be in person. Really appreciate the opportunity to be back actually talking to real people live. So, and I'm really excited that there's live events again with the library. My daughter was very excited about the book club again. So getting back to business. Also, I mean, I actually have a something that's less interesting to talk about, but I'd like to congratulate Councillor Peart, on the initiative to redesign roads. I think that this is fantastic. It represents a 180-degree pivot from the previous stance, let's say, of the city, where we had to put up with extremely poorly conceived and designed road maintenance and repair process under Councillor Martin and Mr. Hitchbees. So I think this is great that this consultation. I think at the time when we did our road, Grosvenor, I suggested we plagiarize the city of Montreal. We talked about traffic calming. We talked about all sorts of other measures that were flatly dismissed. So I think this is an excellent measure. Thank you. As for the reason why I'm actually here, unfortunately, this is, I guess, just for the record, for Councillor Bostock, I appreciate you taking up our cause in terms of the noise issue from the Metro ventilation and HVAC units. This is the 1-year anniversary of our registering this problem with the city. And I have to say, I'm really disappointed that it has basically gone nowhere. I realize, I think that we were in COVID, and I think that someone made the comment that there isn't a proper mechanism in place for dealing with noise issues from private businesses, in such that I don't think you actually have the tools for encouraging, let's say, people to actually rectify problems. I think we've been vocal enough. It was never even clear to me whether or not Metro had a permit to put the equipment that they put in the place that they did put it. But it was metered by the city in April last year and proved to not be conformed to noise bylaws. It took till October to get Metro to actually file a permit. It took till January to actually give them the permit. And here we are in March, and they built nothing. Honestly, I don't think it's acceptable. This is not, some might like to think, a essential business. This is a profit-making venture, private enterprise. They make the highest amount per square footage in Montreal. I fail to see why they're either not being fined or literally served with an injunction. On that note, I just want to read a somewhat softer version of this from my neighbors. The request is, can the Mayor and Director General discuss a friendly solution with Metro where bylaws are reviewed and amended to prevent repeat issues? Clearly, the city administration is not equipped to deal with ongoing noise pollution, as evidenced by this intolerable delay at the cost of residents' health and well-being. I'd like to request that council seek a legal review of the city's noise bylaw to include, among other tools, penalties on a per diem basis, such as found in other municipalities in Canada. Noise levels are on the increase. The mayor and council should consider an awareness campaign to promote good neighborly relations with respect to the responsible use of mechanical and noise emitting devices and behaviors. And lastly, and I don't think this is too much to ask, could our councillor please get back to us with a timeline and progress? I'm not entirely ignorant of construction processes, and we're not asking for a rocket ship here. We're asking for a noise baffle. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. Do you want to read in the record as who asked the second question, or would they prefer their name not to be?
Let's just say Councilor all the neighbors.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Councilor Bostock, do you have an update on this? But I mean, it is, it's a very, you raise very valid points. The timeline is too long. The noise is too loud. Yes, it's a business that needs to operate, but it doesn't get to operate by its own rules. So if you have an update on this, Councillor Bostock or the Director General.
I was going to say, I'm going to defer to our Director General, as this is something that I've been waiting on a response for as well.
So just to be sure who I'm addressing, I don't think I heard your name, and I know your first name is Connor.
Connor
Sampson. Okay. So we did go through the process, as you mentioned. What I have to get as information, and I've asked my Director General adjoint to get me back the answer as to why no work has been done yet. I know that they passed through the process of getting everything approved and they have the permit. Now, what is the exact reason for which they haven't started? I don't have. But by the end of this week, I'll get back to you with a clear update as to when we'll do the work or have them do the work. And if not, then what are the next steps that we'll be taking against them? Because we do have the tools to legally act on them. As you mentioned before, they don't respect our noise bylaw. So we will definitely be acting, and I'll get back to you by the end of this week.
Okay, we have your contact. We'll respond to you by the end of the week then. Okay, thank you. Any further, I don't see any questions in the Q&A. Do we want to go to the online questions that were submitted? I see hands raised, but I don't know if that's actually for a question. Okay.
I would suggest we ask if they want to ask a question. I see Sarah and Leah, Sarah put her head down, and Leah Gerard Nadeau.
Madam Nadeau, you are allowed to talk.
Hi everyone. Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay, so as you know, Westmount signed the Monarch Pledge last year, which was great. And since spring has just begun, I was wondering what are the city plans regarding the things they pledged to do, such as including more pollinator-friendly plants to the city beds and planters, adding naturalized planting zones, the modification of mowing operations to allow target areas to grow longer, and naturalize with indigenous plants, pardon my French. And oh yeah, also what you are planning to do with the water retention basin, which is at the corner of St. Catherine and Lansdowne. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, and a timely one as well, as we have been discussing at length parks and being ready for spring. I'll have to get back to you with a more detailed response, but I do believe I have your contact as well. But our intention is to continue to honor our pledge and continue to plant diverse plantings in the park, and as well increasing our pollinator beds. But I know you've been very involved in this initiative with some other citizens, so we want to thank you, and we continue. We absolutely will continue to honor our pledge to this. Does anyone else want to add to this? Councillor Aronson?
As a matter of fact, just this evening, I was able to make contact with the person in the city who is in charge of Herbiculture and the arborist, and request a meeting for me to sit down with her and go over the specific plans. So I'm hoping that meeting will happen this week. And at our next council meeting, I'll be giving my monthly update on environmental measures that we are taking. So I hope to come back at that time with confirmation that we are indeed honoring our pledge and with some specifics as to exactly how we're going to be honoring our pledge. But again, I echo the mayor and thanking you for your continued involvement in this and many other green initiatives. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. And thanks for bringing your question tonight. I see Ms. Miller's hand raised, but I think it might be for the online questions she submitted. So do we want to read that into the record?
So tell us about your plans for cutting down trees and for planting trees.
Thank you. This is the one question that we received online today. So Public Works is in the process of creating tender documents for the tree planting and tree felling contracts. I'm not sure if your question pertains to a specific tree or specific location, but the process requires in-depth site inspections and analysis, documentation, preparation time, as well as tree selection, coordination with external forestry engineers and the associated property owners. Due to the nature of trees and weather, the lists are continually evolving and changing to ensure that the real-time safety priorities are addressed first. This may cause changes to the tree felling list and subsequently to the tree planting list. So if there is a specific issue that you are concerned about, you can certainly call us or email us and we can address it if it's about a specific location. Councillor Gallery, I think, would also like to comment.
Thank you. I'd just like to add that thank you for your question. We get a lot of questions about our trees, and we absolutely do have a tree management plan. We will always take care of dead and dangerous trees for everybody's safety, and we will always continue to maintain, improve, and invest in our tree canopy. It's one of our trademarks of the city, and we all take great pride in it, and we'll keep doing better, but we will always on the job with the trees, and the season is coming as well. So
thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Are there no further questions online?
There's Madam Miller online.
Oh, she's asked one online, or she's raised her hand?
She raised her hand.
Okay.
So Madam Miller, you're now allowed to talk.
And you have to unmute.
Okay, there. Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Last time I was here was about 20 years ago when I came asking for a basketball court in Murray Hill Park. And every time I walk by that court, I thank you. So
well, thank you for being an engaged citizen.
So now I am asking on behalf of a broader population than just me, but I also have been asked by the city to cut down a tree, or been told by the city that they're going to cut down a tree. The wrong tree was marked, so now I'm dealing with 2 trees marked in orange. And I've been told by the city that I have to plant a tree. I don't understand really whether there is a requirement on behalf of the citizens to plant any trees that you suggest, or to plant trees. Is this a mandatory action that is being made by the city, that we have to plant these trees? Are you planning to consult with us on this? I do recall a couple of years ago, I think it was, a guy came by who said he worked for the city and told me I could choose from a list of trees. And I told him I didn't want any of the trees. And he said, well, we'll get back to you. And then one day, the following year, a tree showed up on my property and I had to call you to say, take it away, because I never had a discussion with anybody about it. So I'm just really wondering, who's in charge of this overall plan? What are you actually imposing on residents, and what kind of choices do we have to make?
Yeah, there is a requirement to replace trees, because it's incredibly important that we obviously keep our canopy in the city, and it takes work and maintenance. So when a tree comes down, yes, we have to replace it. This is managed out of our Public Works department. And certainly that doesn't sound like it was, that doesn't sound like our strongest communication if we just delivered a tree without any discussion with you onto your front lawn. So we certainly, if you're slated to have a tree come down, we will certainly discuss with you and discuss the replanting options.
Right, and who determines that you are to have a tree come down? Who made that decision?
That would be a forestry engineer would make that decision, that is obviously qualified to make that decision if it is deemed unsafe.
Okay, and is that decision looked at by anyone within your government, or it's just this engineer's decision?
Well,
Like, who oversees that?
I can hand this over to the Director General to discuss the process of that, but that is, yes, they would have, obviously have to do an evaluation of the tree, and they are experts. They are not looking to take down trees unnecessarily. They are really looking to manage our urban canopy, and also obviously safety is of the utmost importance. Does the Director General have any comments about that as to the process within the administration on that?
Well, what I would prefer in this case, Madam Miller, is we'll take down your address and get in touch with you, as this file is very specific and I don't have the details of your file. But the process is, yes, when a technician or a forestry engineer deems a tree to be dangerous, he does make a decision to make the situation safe, and does take action or require action. So all our trees are looked at and categorized in terms of urgency. So we will take your address down and we'll get back to you, as your dossier is very specific.
Okay, and okay, so just on a personal note, is that orange paint going to come off? You know, I'm sitting there with a tree that was marked inappropriately, and now another tree that was marked appropriately. So
the orange spray paint around the tree,
yeah,
you mean?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
We
will address that when we get in contact with you. So if you want to send me your contact information, you can send it to me by email, which I'm easy to find, and my office will make sure you get responded to.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I think that's it, Maître Ferland, for questions online and in the audience. Any further follow-up questions? No? Okay, so now we will move to the next part of the agenda, and we will start with the adoption of the agenda, l'adoption de l'ordre du jour. Conseiller Chamy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the agenda of the regular council sitting of March 21st, 2022 be adopted.
Thank you. A seconder is Councillor Gallery. All in favor? Carried. Item, we. Item. We need to add an item to the agenda, item 30.01. That is correct. Okay, so excuse me, you will add that in.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I apologize. I didn't have it in my notes. We will add item 30.01.
Thank you. A seconder again on that will be Councillor Gallery. All in favor? Carried. Item number 5, approbation de procès-verbaux. Encore, Conseiller Chamy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the Demolition Committee held 17 February 2022 and the regular council sittings held 21st February and the 7th of March 2022 be approved.
Thank you. A seconder will be Councillor Bostock. All in favor? Carried. And now we move to confirmation. Reports to council, correspondence. The following documents are tabled. The public notice of the Ville de Montréal for the virtual public meeting pertaining to racism and systemic discrimination, progress report, and resolution CG 220122 of the Montreal Urban Agglomeration Council entitled Adopter une résolution de contrôle intérimaire relative à la préservation du secteur présente une valeur environnementale. Item number 6.2, Councillor Chamy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The minutes of the General Committee meeting of council held the 21st of February 2022 are now tabled and available on the city's website.
Thank you. Item 6.3, Councilor D'Amico.
Merci, Madame la mairesse.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Le rapport d'audit d'optimisation des ressources sur la gestion contractuelle est déposé.
Merci beaucoup. Modification, nomination maire suppléant 2022, Conseil. Conseil.
Yes, thank you. We read the whereases in accordance with the first paragraph of section 56 of the Cities and Towns Act, CQLR, chapter 2-19. Council designates the period to determine a council as acting mayor. Whereas at its sitting held on November 15, 2021, Council approved acting mayors for the year 2022, resolution number 2021-11-253. Whereas at its sitting held on January 17, 2022, Council amended appointments of acting mayors for the year 2022, resolution number 2022-106. Whereas it is deemed necessary to further amend the appointment of the acting mayor. Je propose que le Conseil Dorchester soit nommé maire suppléant pour le mois de mai, juin, juillet, août, septembre et octobre, et que le Conseil ordinaire soit nommé maire suppléant pour le mois de novembre, décembre 2022 et janvier 2023.
Thank you very much. Seconder on this motion will be Councillor Bostock, and Councillor Shammy is going to continue on being the acting mayor. And this is something that typically rotates amongst council. And one of the roles of the acting mayor, obviously, is to act on my behalf if I am unable to perform, to be at various meetings or to attend agglomeration council meetings. And typically this is rotated throughout council, but due to day jobs and other commitments, this is, we will begin that rotation starting in November with Councillor Peart. So Councillor Shammy, again, thank you for continuing in this role. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Item number 8, appointment Superintendent Roads and Parks, Public Works Department. Councillor Shammy again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that Ms. Linda Savoy be appointed to the position of Superintendent Roads and Parks of the Public Works Department, grade 8, effective April 4th, 2022, in accordance with the salary recommendation of the Director of Human Resources Department, as stipulated in decision-making file number 2022-1518, and according to the terms provided for in the working conditions and remuneration of management personnel. And finally, that this appointment be on a permanent basis once Ms. Savoy has completed a probationary period in accordance with Section 2 of the working conditions and remuneration of management personnel.
Thank you very much. And a seconder on this will be Councillor Bostock. And we welcome Madame Savoy to the team in Westmount. And unfortunately, she's not been able to be here with us in person, but we were able to meet her via Zoom tonight. And she comes to us from the Ville de Montréal, from the Sud-West Borough. And we're excited. And I think she can hear from the questions tonight how important the parks are to Westmount residents. So we look forward to her expertise in the Public Works Department. So all in favor? Carried. Item number 9, numéro 9, adoption d'une politique sur le télétravail. Encore le conseiller Shammy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I'll read the whereases. Whereas telework or teletravail has become a must in the offer of working conditions to employees, allowing flexibility in the work-family balance and adding a non-negligible attractiveness in the context of labor shortage. Whereas the City of Westmount is actively involved in promoting initiatives to reduce, of course, greenhouse gas emissions. Whereas transportation is one of the largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in Quebec. And whereas telework would contribute to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions from vehicles on Montreal roads, I move that the attached policy on telework or teletravail be adopted.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure Councillor Aronson would like to second that. Yes, please. Any further comment?
Straightforward.
This will be, obviously, we will continue to serve Westmount citizens, but this is a hybrid model, which I think, all industries are looking at right now, where there will be an option that you can do some work remotely. So all in favor? Carried. Item number 10, purchase of Microsoft 365 suite licenses, Centre d'Action Gouvernementale, encore le conseiller Chamy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move that the city of Westmount confirm its participation in the purchase agreement with the Centre d'Accusation Gouvernementale, known as CAG, for the purchase of Microsoft 365 suite licenses for a 3-year period for a maximum amount of $57,430.17, including taxes, and that a purchase order be issued to cover the above mentioned expenses, and that the purchasing manager of the city be authorized for and behalf of the city to sign all documents required to give full effect to this resolution.
Thank you. A seconder on this will be Councillor Peart. Any further comments? No?
We need it.
All right, all in favor? Carried. Item number 11, encore Monsieur Chamy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move to authorize an expenditure with my hat of Westmount Hydro for the amount of $54,985, including tax credits for the purchase of 1,000 kVA pad-mounted transformers for project HWSP 2201-16. Request for proposal number DDP 2022-002, and to award to Hitachi Energy USA Inc. the contract for this purpose in accordance with the proposal for a maximum amount of $63,219, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the request for proposals DDP 2022-002. And finally, Madam Mayor, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making docket number 2022-1501.
Thank you. A seconder on this will be Councillor Roux. Any further comments? No? All in favor? Carried. Item 12, Councillor Chamy, I believe.
Now,
this is your
Madam
last
Mayor, with
one.
my hat of Commissioner of HR or Administration, I'm sorry, I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $71,669.65, including tax credits for the purchase of servers. Request for proposals number DDP 2022-007, to award to CareTech the contract for this purpose in accordance with its proposal for a maximum amount of $78,487.61, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the request for proposals DDP 2022-007, and finally to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file 2022-1503.
Thank you very much. A seconder, Councillor D'Amico. Any further comments? No.
We need the servers.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 13, numéro 13, demande de proposition fourniture de mobilier pour une place éphémère sur le boulevard de Maisonneuve-Ouest. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will also read the whereases. Whereas a request for proposals was sent for the supply of furniture for an ephemeral place on Maisonneuve Boulevard West. Request for proposal number DDP 2022-014, and that in conformity with bylaw 1556 on contract management, the déclaration relative aux mesures prises pour assurer la rotation des co-contractants is submitted to this meeting. Whereas following the analysis of the received proposals, coopérative, le comité générateur d'événements is the selected bidder. I move, Madam Mayor, to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $73,396.76, including tax credits for the supply of furniture for an ephemeral place on de Maisonneuve Boulevard West. Request for proposals number DDP 2022-014, to award to Coopérative le Comité Générateur d'événements the contract for this purpose in accordance with its proposal for a maximum amount of $80,379.02, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the request for proposals DDP-2022-014, that the contract be financed from the appropriated surplus, revitalization of commercial arteries, resolution number 2022-03-49, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1523.
Thank you, Councillor Gallery. I'm sure Councillor Aronson, as the Commissioner for Commercial Areas, would like to second this.
I would indeed.
You would, yes. Does anyone have any further comments on this?
Sure. I'd just like to, well, for those of you who know or don't know, we've made some changes on de Maisonneuve between Atwater and Wood. De Maisonneuve coming into Westmount, and the road will now be one lane. And with that, this is a transitional / temporary effort to make a livable and enjoyable place, which will have benches and green space along the side of the road for all to enjoy.
Yep, perfect. Councillor Aronson, do you want to add anything to that?
Only that Councillor Gallery has done an excellent job of explaining what it is we're doing here, but for those who are having trouble picturing where this is, it'll be sort of outside of Boston College. And we're looking forward to building something really beautiful for the residents of Westmount. And so I urge my fellow councillors to support us in this motion.
Perfect, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 14, numéro 14, appel d'offres sur invitation remplacement des portes et des bornes de stationnement Ville de Westmount. Conseillère Kez.
Merci. Oui, je propose d'autoriser une dépense de 391 699,50 $, incluant le crédit de taxe pour le remplacement des portes des bornes de stationnement de Ville de Westmount, appel d'offres sur l'invitation numéro invitation 13 Union 2022 13 Union 008 d'accorder à J.J. Mackay Canada Limited le contrat de cette fin au prix de soumission pour une somme maximale de 450 356,50 $, taxes inclus, le tout conformant aux documents contractuels de l'appel d'offres sur invitation 13 Union 2022 13 Union 008, d'imputer cette dépense conformément aux informations financières inscrites au sous-sommaire décisionnel 2022 13 Union 15-12.
Thank you, Councillor Kez. Do I have a seconder on this? Will be Councillor Bostock. Any further comments?
Yeah, this is just the payment. The payment stations need to have chip recognition devices installed in order to increase protection against fraud.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Item number 15, numéro 15, appel d'offres public, élagage et consolidation structurelle, Conseil Gallery. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $173,717.57, including tax credits for the 2022 fiscal year for the pruning and structural consolidation tender number PUB-2021-033 to award to Arboriculture de Beauce, Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $595,564.75, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders PUB 2021-033, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1515.
Thank you, Councillor Gallery. A seconder on this will be Councillor Bostock. Any further comments?
This is ongoing pruning of our trees. And for those who don't know, structural consolidation is a way of holding parts of trees together that might be deemed dangerous. So it could be with rope or wires.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 16, numéro 16, appel d'offres public, restauration des fenêtres à l'hôtel de ville de la ville de Westmount. Councillor Peart.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $1,107,775.61, including tax credits for the 2022 fiscal year for the restoration of the windows at City of Westmount City Hall, tender number PUB-2021-051, to award to Maçonnerie Renville et Frères, Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $2,426,317.43, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders PUB-2021-051. To allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1506.
Thank you, Councillor Peart. A seconder on this will be Councillor Roux. Any further comments?
Well, this is, I think, phase 3 of our ongoing renovations and restoration of City Hall. The city is leading by example. We are restoring these windows. We are not simply replacing them. And we encourage our residents to take the opportunity anytime that they can to do something similar instead of relegating your old windows to landfill.
So thank you. And I think anyone can see from outside of the building that the work on the windows is absolutely necessary.
Overdue indeed.
Long overdue, yes. So all in favor? Carried. Item number 17, call for public tenders, disposal of street sweeper residues for the city of Westmount. Councillor Bostock.
What's a sweet street?
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $24,803.30, including tax credits for the 2022 fiscal year for the disposal of street sweeper residues for the city of Westmount, tender number PUB 2022-005. To award to Recyclage Notre Dame, Inc., the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $113,480.33, including taxes, for a period of 3 years, with 2 renewal options for a period of 12 months each. I feel like this is a math problem. The whole in conformity with the contractual documents for the call for public tenders, PUB 2022-005, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1504.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bostock. A seconder on this will be Councillor Peart. Any further comments? No. All in favor? Carried. Item number 18, appel d'offres public, achat des luminaires Cobra, DEL. Councillor Shammy.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Je propose de t'autoriser une dépense de 72 121,16 $, incluant le crédit de taxe pour l'achat de luminaires Cobra DEL. Appel d'offres PUB 2022-006 et d'accorder à Lumen, une division de Sonepar Canada Inc., le contrat à cette fin au prix de sa soumission, soit pour une somme maximale de 78 982,08 $, taxes inclus, le tout conformément aux documents contractuels de l'appel d'offres PUB 2022-006. Et finalement, d'imputer cette dépense conformément aux informations financières inscrites au sommaire décisionnel numéro 2022 1500.
Will be Councillor Gallery. Any further comments?
No.
No. All in favor? Item number 19, Councillor Gallery, appel d'offres public, annulation de l'appel d'offres public.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas tenders were publicly opened on November 26, 2021 for the tree cutting and stump removal in King George Park, tender number PUB 2021-052, and minutes prepared by the city's clerk's office are submitted to this meeting. Whereas a review of the project must be undertaken to mitigate the loss of trees over a longer period of time. I move that the call for tenders bearing number PUB-2021-052 for the contract for the tree cutting and stump removal in King George Park be canceled.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gallery. I think Councillor Roux would like to second that motion. Any further comments?
Yes, we're going to be looking at a more spaced out schedule, and we'll be going back out to tender.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Item number 20, appel d'offres public, annulation de l'appel d'offres public. Oh, no, on a déjà fait.
There's two parts.
Oh, yeah, there's two parts, sorry. Encore, Madame Gallery.
Whereas tenders were publicly opened on November 26, 2021 for the tree planting in King George Park, tender number PUB-2021-053, and minutes prepared by the city clerk's office are submitted to this meeting. Whereas a review of the project will be undertaken to mitigate the loss of trees and the reforestation of the park. I move that the call for tenders bearing number PUB-2021-053 for the contract for the tree planting in King George Park be canceled.
Thank you. Councillor Roux, would you like to second this as well? Any further comments?
We'll be relooking at the replanting schedule as well.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 21, call for public tenders, cancellation of the call for public tenders. Councillor Shammy.
Madam Mayor, whereas a tender was publicly opened on February 28th for the purchase of overhead transformers, tender number PUB 2021-10, and minutes prepared by the city clerk's office are submitted to this meeting. And whereas following the analysis of the open tender, the tender is deemed non-conforming, I move that the tender submitted as a result of a call for tenders bearing number PUB 2022-10 for the contract for the purchase of overhead transformers be rejected on the basis of technical non-conformity.
Thank you, Councillor Shammy. A seconder on this will be Councillor Peart. Any further comments? All right, all in favor? Carried. Item number 22, notice of motion bylaw 1586 to establish the conditions governing the supply of electricity. Councillor Shammy.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I give notice of the intention to submit for adoption at a subsequent meeting of council bylaw number 1586 entitled Bylaw to Establish the Conditions Governing the Supply of Electricity. The object of this bylaw is to establish the conditions governing that supply, and the bylaw repeals bylaw 1570 to establish the conditions governing the supply of electricity. A copy of the draft bylaw is tabled and available for public consultation.
Thank you. Item number, that does not require a vote. Item number 23, modification of a contract, approval of safety fencing and vehicle tunnel around 4030 Dorchester Boulevard. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll read again the whereases. Whereas under section 573.2 of the Cities and Towns Act, CQLR chapter C-19, in case of irresistible force of such a nature as to imperil the life or health of the population or seriously damage the equipment of the municipality, the mayor may order any expenditure deemed necessary and award any contract necessary to remedy the situation. Whereas a notice of deterioration has been registered in the land register for the immovable located at 4030 Dorchester Boulevard, hereinafter the property, resolution number 2019-02-29. Whereas council awarded a contract to Scaffold Plus Laval Inc. for the rental of protective fencing on Weredale Park, resolutions number 2021-04-82 and 2021-09-213. Whereas the duration of the installation of the safety measures could not be foreseen or planned at the time the initial mandate was given. Whereas the property continues to present public safety hazards as established in the engineer report dated June 1st, 2020. Whereas the city of Westmount has repeatedly requested through repeated notices since 2016 that the owner perform the required emergency work and that such work has not yet begun. Whereas the protective tunnel and safety fencing installed by Scaffold Plus at the request of the city must be maintained for the protection of the public pending completion of said work. I move that an additional expenditure be authorized in the amount of $57,331.50 including taxes for the rental of protective fencing on Weredale Park with Scaffolds Plus Laval, Inc. To allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making files number 2021-1209, 2021-1316, and 2022-1510.
Thank you. I'm sure Councillor Kez would like to second this.
I'll second it, but I'm not happy with it. I would only wish the owner would hurry up and
Get the
fix
work
that building
done.
so we could get rid of that fence. That
Yeah.
fence is costing us monthly $4,700.
Yeah,
But we have an obligation to keep this
Yeah, absolutely.
space
It's
safe.
unsafe. Yeah,
it's unsafe. So it is a very unfortunate circumstance, though.
very. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, and Councillor Kez has worked hard to try and find a solution for the residents in the area for this. So all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item number 24, Councillor Shammy, transaction, Marjorie Sharp.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to read the whereases. Whereas Marjorie Sharp has filed a motion to institute proceedings against the city of Westmount before the Superior Court of Quebec, Civil Division, District of Montreal, file number 500-17, 107-705-199. Whereas the city of Westmount has agreed in principle to enter into a settlement agreement and transaction with Marjorie Sharp to settle the matter out of court. Whereas it is in the best interest of the city to settle this matter, I move, Madam Mayor, that the city of Westmount agree to settle the legal proceedings brought by Marjorie Sharp against the city in Superior Court, file number 517, 107-705-199, that the city of Westmount execute the out-of-court settlement transaction and release, and that the Director of Legal Services or the Assistant Director of Legal Services, in his absence, be mandated to sign for the name of the city of Westmount the settlement agreement and release.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shammy. A seconder on this will be Councillor Peart. Any further comments? No?
I'll explain it more in the next motion.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 25, again, Councillor Shammy, transaction, the Personal General Insurance Incorporated.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Personnel.
Whereas the Personal General Insurance Inc. has filed a motion to institute proceedings against the city of Westmount before the Superior Court of Quebec, Civil Division, District of Montreal, file number 522-268-146-147. Whereas the city of Westmount has agreed in principle to enter into a settlement agreement and transaction with the Personal General Insurance Incorporated to settle the matter out of court. Whereas it is in the best interest of the city to settle this matter, I move, Madam Mayor, that the city of Westmount agree to settle the legal proceedings brought by the Personal General Insurance Incorporated against the city of Westmount and Superior Court of Quebec, file number 522-26-8146-217, and that the city of Westmount execute the out-of-court settlement and pay a total amount of $5,546.55 to the Personal General Insurance Inc., and that the Director of Legal Services or the Assistant Director of Legal Services, and in his absence, be mandated to sign for the name in the name of the city of Westmount the settlement agreement and release.
Thank you, Councillor Shammy. A seconder on this will be Councillor D'Amico. Any further questions or comments? No, all in favor? Carried. Item 26, numéro 26, adoption d'un schéma de conception, reconstruction des avenues Lexington et Devon. Councillor Peart.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I'll read the whereases in this case. Whereas the sidewalks and roadway on Lexington and Devon Avenues are in an advanced state of deterioration, and therefore a capital project was developed and initiated for 2022. Whereas the objectives of the capital project include the rehabilitation of underground infrastructure with respect to Hydro Westmount and the public portion of water surfaces on Lexington Avenue, the review of the geometry in accordance with the objectives and orientation set out in the city's various planning documents, the implementation of traffic calming measures, the review of allotment of space between active and vehicular modes of transportation, the safe movements of pedestrians, and the increase of green spaces. Whereas the proposed design for Lexington Avenue respects the criteria outlined in the Ville de Montréal's master plan and the Westmount Traffic and Active Transportation Master Plan, I move that the proposed design for the reconstruction of Lexington Avenue and of Devon Avenue between Lexington Avenue and Summit Crescent be accepted.
Thank you. Seconder on this will be Councillor Bostock. Any further comments? This is not the awarding of a contract.
This precisely, Mayor Smith, this is the approval, potential approval of the configuration that is proposed and currently out for tender for the project at Devon and Lexington. The tender will come in at a later date.
Any further comments? Councillor D'Amico?
Yes, so I wanted to thank the residents for having participated. There is a large, of the ones that did express themselves to me, there's a large majority, a vast majority, a clear majority that do not want this project. There are some positive aspects of the project, so they're not against the entire project, but I am against the present format, so I will be voting against it.
Okay, thank you. So Councillor Aronson, you would like to comment?
I would. I think it is important that I comment before I vote here because I'm the Commissioner of Citizen Engagement. And I really like this plan. I like this proposal a lot. I think it is a really, really beautiful and necessary reconstruction of the street that was done in an extremely thoughtful and well-planned manner. I really like the plan and I wish that I could vote for it. Unfortunately, because of the nature that the plan was done with careful planning and with consideration for all and in a highly professional manner. The consultation surrounding it, whereby residents in this area and the city as a whole was, in my opinion, not optimal. It could be improved. And so it pains me to have to do so. But because of the lacuna with respect to the consultative process and signaling that I will be bringing forward some ideas on better consultative processes for these types of projects, I will be following Councillor D'Amico's lead on this particular matter, and I will be voting against it, despite the fact that I would very much like to have voted in favor.
Okay, thank you. So I have 2 votes against. So all those in favor? All those against? Carried. Item number, any further comments? Does anyone else want to comment on this? No? Okay. Item number 27, dépôt des procès-verbaux de comité consultatif d'urbanisme.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move that council acknowledge and accept the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee's special meetings held on March 8th and March 10th of 2022.
Thank you. Councillor Gallery is going to second that. All those in favor? Anyone against? No? Carried. Item number 28, urban planning, approval of site planning and architectural integration programs. Again, Councillor Pierce.
Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. I will dispense with the whereases and move right to the motion. I move that the municipal council act on the opinions of the Planning Advisory Committee, the PAC, as set out in the minutes of the special meetings held on March 8th and March 10th, 2022 minutes, and adopt for each of them the site planning and architectural integration programs conditions for the issuance of a permit as listed in the following items: CCUS 220308.03, CCUS 220308.05, CCUS 220308.06, CCUS 220308.09, CCUS 220308.11, CCUS 220308.13, and CCUS 220308.14 of the agenda of the special PAC meeting held on March 8th of 2022. CCUS 22031008, CCUS 22031009, and CCUS 220310.11 of the agenda of the special PAC meeting held on March 10th of 2022.
Thank you. A seconder will be Councillor Gallery. Any further comments on these? Any significant files?
As a general reminder, when you see these files, you refer back to these items, they refer back to the agendas that were previously minted in the preceding item. And that's where you'll find the detail of these files.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 29, urban planning, denial of a site planning and architectural integration program. Again, Councillor Peart.
Merci encore, Madame la Mairesse. For this one, I will read the whereases because they are specific. Whereas the minutes of the special meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee held on March 8th of 2022 were tabled. Whereas the main role of the Planning Advisory Committee is to analyze and give an opinion on any requests that must be submitted to it in accordance with the Land Use Planning and Development Act, CQLR, CA 19.1, e.g. SPAIP, minor exemption, SCOPE, conditional uses, etc., and on any other application in matters of land use, planning, and development that is submitted to it by council. Whereas applications have been submitted by the applicants under bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs, and an application does not meet the objectives and criteria. Whereas the Planning Advisory Committee has issued opinions regarding these applications, as stated in the Planning Advisory Committee minutes of the special meeting held on March 8th of 2022. Whereas according to bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs, council must decide on the opinions of the committee by way of resolution. I move that the municipal council act on the unfavorable opinion of the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, as set out in the minutes of the special meeting held on March 8th of 2022 in item CCUS 22-03-08.07 of the agenda of said meeting.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this motion is Councillor Gallery, who sits on the PAC as well. Any further comments on this?
And again, as with this one, the item reference from the agenda will detail all of the reasons for the unfavorable approval by council.
Okay.
Unfavorable.
All in favor? Anyone against? All in favor? Carried. And now we have item 30 under new business. And I'm not sure, I don't have it listed as to who is moving this motion. It's Councillor Gallery.
Oh. Whereas the city of Westmount wishes to make a work of art available to its residents. Whereas the lender is willing to make available to the city the work entitled Mother and Child by artist Leah. Apologies, I'm on mute. Whereas the city of Westmount wishes to make a work of art available to its residents. Whereas the lender is willing to make available to the city the work entitled Mother and Child by artist Leah Vivo, free of charge for public display. I move that the Director of Legal Services or the Assistant Director of Legal Services in his absence be mandated to sign in the name of the city of Westmount the attached loan agreement.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this motion will be Councillor Chammy. Any further comments on this?
We've been very fortunate that a resident has offered to loan us a piece of art that she owns, and by the artist Leah Vivo, and we will be locating it in the Prince Albert Square, and it's quite special and beautiful, and it'll be in our care for an indeterminate period of time.
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate, and then Prince Albert Square is a small park, a square that had been designed to have public art in it. So I think this is a perfect fit for that. So all in favor? Carried. That brings us to the end of the agenda. And if we have any second question, and to our second question period. So if you have a second, or if you have another question, you're welcome to ask it. Otherwise, or if you want to put your question in the Q&A online, you can do it that way, or raise your hand and we will answer it that way. Otherwise, we will adjourn the meeting. I don't see any questions there. Monsieur Le Greffier, est-ce qu'on n'a pas de questions? Okay, parfait. Merci beaucoup. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.